Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
It's been known as many things over the past 50 or so years, but today it's known as the Red Bull Ring. 20 odd years ago it was the A1 Ring, and long before that, the Osterreich Ring. I am Aaron Smith, and I am joined here by Sam Fitzpatrick and Oliver Quoker, as always giving us useful insight into these Formula 3.5 Renault cars, and in the production booth is Samuli Kumo, as always. And today should be a fantastic day of racing, as Red Bull Ring on this service has, I'd say, been well received by the iRacing community, and has also been fairly well received by the Formula 3.5 community. And Sam, I think as long as people can keep it on the track, I think we're in for a good day.
Yeah, I think so. This is a circuit, as you were saying before, you know, the community very much enjoy this place. It's visited a lot, and so everyone should be able to get up to speed. It's also not too many corners as well to master, albeit they are very tricky corners, the few corners that there are. And so I'm expecting a very competitive field out here, and overtaking will be possible. The DRSs that the drivers have available, that will be very powerful into turn 3 in particular. And so I think there's not going to be a runaway winner. I'm certainly hoping for that at least.
Yeah, I think we all are. I think we're all hoping for a close bit of racing as Shirakawa comes across the line and improves by a good nearly 2/10, and he has scorched his way ahead of the rest of the field. Only man left on a competitive qualifying lap by the looks of it seems to be Yukimi Hara, who we're looking at now as he comes around the final corner. You can be a little bit aggressive with the track limits around here, but don't push your luck too much, otherwise you will get that 1x. And Hara cannot improve on his position, does improve his time, but unfortunately it's not enough. But Shirakawa, we know, is rapid with these cars, but can be known to make a mistake or two. But of course we wish him the best in this race, as we do all of our drivers here today. Got a few returning names, a few new names as well, the likes of Freckleton making a return. Haven't seen him in these cars in a while, but yeah, this field, especially that top 6, is looking really, really competitive. Only separated by about 0.3 of a second. And I got to ask Oliver, I'm not too sure how much experience you have with these cars around this track, but what's your thoughts with this track and car combination?
Well, it's a lot of fun, first of all. As are many tracks with this car, but with this track, you are, as I was about to say, very close to the limit. on the tires, on mechanical grip. It's very, very important to get your braking right and traction. So as I said, very, very grip oriented. You try to run these cars, despite that you really try to run these cars fairly stiff, because you want to have a lot of aero performance from this car, so you run it as low as possible. And then you have the problem with these curbs, as we see Akin there going a little bit wide. They're not too high, but obviously they are unsettling the car a little bit, so it's it's a tricky circuit to get right, but it's so rewarding if you actually get it right.
Yeah, speaking from experience in the likes of Formula 3 driving around here, I do have to agree with that. You're right on the limit with this track, and it is so simple, as Sam mentioned as well, and why a lot of people can kind of pick up this track and just play. Not too many corners, but these corners are fairly complex in terms of different braking zones, and especially that middle sector where the time really makes all of the difference. But, you know...
Sorry to interrupt. I'm just like very curious as to this rear wing just before it transfers. Is that a huge rear wing, or do I need glasses?
I think it's medium downforce, I believe.
That's medium
No, that's
downforce.
high.
That's
That's
high.
high,
You see, I'm
okay.
surprised. So you'd go down a high downforce route then, would you, for this circuit, or would you go
Yeah.
the medium or low?
The thing is, you lose too much in the second sector. You're pretty much in 4th and 5th gear through these two left-handers, and that's it costs you too much time. So simple as that.
Yeah, I've got to say, high downforce seems to be the way to go, and that seems the way that Yuki Shirakawa has gone, as he's on pole for this race, with Eddie Zamborski not too far behind in second. Then we got Barito in third, Duresho in fourth, Tunamond in fifth, Harra in sixth, Fazamowski in seventh place, Lopez in 8th place, Garcia in 9th, Ald in 10th place, Alarcon in 11th, Luke Brooker in 12th, and we have Phil Reed in 13th, Narcisco in 14th, Marinel in 15th, Tavares in 16th, Frackleton 17th, Mordan in 18th, Cornu in 19th, Akin in 20th, and your last place man in 20th place, Daniel Gallas. And the field is fairly close, all the way down to 17th. Everyone is within a second. Of course, we don't know how the bottom 4 drivers would have fared if they completed a lap. But I'd say, of course, those DRS activations are going to be a big factor in this race. And of course, we can't track how many people use, but I think Yuki Shirakawa, as long as he doesn't bottle it, which we've seen a few times this season, we know he's good at starting these cars. Whatever his magic is, he knows how to get off the line well in these 3.5 cars, and we'll see if he can do that again today. So we're just waiting for Mordan, the last driver on the grid, to grid up. Maybe he's just gone for a wee, maybe taking a bit of a drink break, or just waiting until the very last second to join the grid. But we've got all 21 cars now lined up on this Red Bull straight here at Red Bull Ring, as we wait for those 5 red lights to go out, and we are green here in Red Bull Ring. As always, Yuki Shirakawa gets off to a flyer. Zamborski doesn't seem to have a good start, and at the back it's a little bit slow from those back markers. We head into turn 1, and Shirakawa already has a huge lead. It's around a second already. Barito has made himself up into second place. Zamborski down to third. Duresho also looking on the back of Zamborski. But we've got Virzimski and I believe this is Lopez going side by side. He's going a bit deep into turn 3. Is there going to be any contact made? It looks like everyone's made it through fairly clean. I think that's Duresho slipping down as he went wide. This huge impact, and I hope this isn't going to be a big pile up. It is, oh my word. That was a huge, huge crash. We've got about 3 or 4 cars involved in that. There's a car upside down. I think that's Duresho who's in the pits. That was a huge crash. And Virzimski is now out of the running, and we got a spinner as well. That's Garcia. Oh, my apologies. That's Brooker actually going off the track. And oh my word, Sam, that was unexpected.
Yeah, that could have been a lot worse as well if that incident between turns 3 and 4 between Remus and Shoshgold was further up the order. It could have been a
grabbing.
fair few more drivers involved, as we've got Mordan, who I think may have been involved in some of that. He's got to come into the pits no faster pairs, so that will probably be the end of his day. But there was a couple of other issues. Amazing start though for Nicholas Marinel. He gained 5 places in turn 1, and then he gained another 3 later on in that lap. He's up to 7th place. He's escalated half the field on this opening lap.
Yeah, that was absolutely an incredible start by the number 12. And we'll see if he can make up even more places in this race. It's a fairly long race, 28 laps overall. And we're already about halfway through the second lap. But that incident on this straight that we're going to now, all the way down to turn 4. Hopefully we can have a look at actually what happened. As kind of, once again, we've seen it a few times today already. Some cars just merged towards each other. But we got this battle going on for 11th place between Freckleton and Tavares. Freckleton winning out this time round as he was just a little bit braver onto the brakes than the Brazilian. But that midfield battle rather spreading out now as from 8th to 9th is around 5 seconds, which just goes to show how utterly chaotic. But Oliver, walk us through this one.
Obviously, one car drove a little bit wide, and then it was 3 wide. The Reggio on the left, Jorgenski in the middle, tried to leave enough space, but went off a little bit further to the left, right into the path of the Reggio, and then they just connected, and unfortunately both went into the wall there. Very reminiscent to 2015, actually, in Formula 1. I think it was Alonso and Raikkonen, right?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that as well. It was really, really strange between those two, but although that's in the past now, Rusymski is in the pit lane, and this is Cornu. Oh yeah, Freckleton didn't even see that. He went off the track up ahead, possibly having that battle with Tavares again. They're still going wheel to wheel as Cornu and Reed having their own battle for 13th place right now. Freckleton, oh, it's a bit of a send. Can he keep it on the track? There's someone off. That's Garcia, who's come off the track. I think he was up there in 8th place and has spun off somewhere. Marinel gaining yet another place. He's up, excuse me, actually, he's still up 8 places. My apologies, but still running a good race. But a lot of mistakes are coming out in these opening few laps. And, you know, Oliver, obviously you have the most experience out of anyone here with this car and track combination. Can you sympathize with some of the mistakes we're seeing?
Some yes, some not. The thing is, this car is, as I said, quite sensitive on the limit. You can keep it or you can catch it some of the times, but you're so on the limit, as we see one car again a little bit going wide there. I think that was Freckleton again. So he seems to have some problems under braking. Yeah, I mean, this car is very, very... you run this so on the limit. I think it's even more difficult than on other tracks because it's such a short and simple track. So you try to just gain this extra little tenth if possible. And, well, if you're so far on the limits with cold tires, dirty air, and maybe on the not being on the ideal line, that can make the difference of staying on the track, or, as we have seen many times in this race, getting off.
Yeah, and this midfield battle still heating up, and we did see Freckleton going off there in turn 1. I think he might be just struggling a little bit with the brakes so far in this race. As this is going to be an optimistic move into the penultimate corner. You don't see him move around here very often. Tavares being opportunistic, might have gotten a 1x for that, but nevertheless took advantage and is up into 9th place. And Phil Reed's going to take a piece of the pie. He's got past Ord as well, and maybe even Cornu is sneaking up the inside into turn 1. Order's lost about 3 places within the space of a few corners there. He's going to be absolutely kicking himself and is under threat as well from Freckleton. That's been a disastrous few corners for the Brazilian.
He has damage. He has damage, rear wing damage.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. So problems for him now be affecting him certainly down the straights, and yeah, you can see he's not really driving a whole lot competitively. Knows that those guys are going to get ahead of him most likely, and you can see the divot in the rear wing there. Yeah, that'll be costing him bad as Gallus up the inside of, apologies, Garcia ahead of Gallus. Remember, Garcia had that spin at Schlossgold a couple of laps ago. Fortunately, didn't make significant contact with the wall. I think he may have tapped it ever so slightly, but he does still have a lot of pace. And anyone up to Tavares, most likely, he could still fight, maybe even Reed as well for P9. I would also like to say, Dylan Freckleton, excellent livery. Freckleton and Tavares absolutely knocking it out of the park. So good work, guys. Doesn't get you any performance, but it looks nice on the stream, so I do appreciate that.
Well, yeah, good livery is always nice to look at. We'll never complain of a good one, and that is for certain. But this battle for the lead, I can assure you, is going to heat up, and it's going to heat up right now. I think this is Barato's opportunity as Shirakawa ran wide there into turn 3. Neither of them using DRS this time round. Not sure Barato needs to. He's going to try and look down the inside, but just didn't get on the brakes he wanted to. It's going to be close. I don't know how they didn't make contact there. Shirakawa once again going wide. Maybe that's a little bit of a tactic, a defensive tactic from the Japanese driver. But Barato with a very, very good overtake round the outside there. You do not see a move like that very often, but when you do, you just got to appreciate it. And that was a very, very impressive overtake for the lead of this race.
Yeah, now we wait to see if he's going to be able to respond. Shirakawa is the draft strong enough to bring himself back into play. Can he use his DRSs? But, well, so far, it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. 0.6 of a second now is the gap, and it's going to be looking more in his mirrors at Zamborski, who has also been catching him significantly in recent laps. And even Toulemont and Haro and Lopez only 1.5 seconds behind. This race all of a sudden going very south for the Japanese.
Yes, he's just rather fallen off the pace a little bit, which we're used to seeing from Shirakawa, but you never know, in these races he might be able to fight back with Barato, as Barato on this lap actually has struggled in this first sector. He's not been able to pull away from Shirakawa and Zamborski and co behind the way he wanted to. But I would say track position around this track is key, as the straights, you know, they're not long enough to get that slipstream and that DRS really. You can't maximize it too much. They're definitely, you know, a factor in this race, but I honestly think track position around this, it's going to be the key. And I think if Barato just keeps it together, doesn't make any mistakes, he might be able to cruise until the end of this race. We do, of course, have 22 laps to go. 21 when we cross the start-finish line. Yeah, this race is already spicing up to be one of the most interesting we've had this season.
By the way, Garcia just making up a couple more places, so he's very quick as Garcia right now. He's up into 12th place, so he got past Dylan Freckleton. Toulemont's had a very good lap there. He's been able to pull a bit of a gap on Hara. Was 0.2 faster that last time round, so he's gone from being under a lot of pressure to being able to not have to look behind him. Is having to look behind him, however, is Hara Marinel, who has been on a charge, made up all those 8 places on lap 1 of this race, hasn't made up any since. I would not bet against him making up some more by the end. His car number is only number 12, so that's his seeding Marinel, so he's really punching above his weight, as are many of these drivers, to be fair. Hara number 13 and Toulemont number 15. It'll be a huge iRacing game as Esposito is very similar to what Valtteri Bottas did a few years ago in qualifying in the Formula 1, and that has let go one of the places. That will be down to 7th.
Yeah, just the car didn't look very. It just looked really nervous throughout those last few corners, and just needs to recompose, get back up to speed. I think Zamborski has had a bit of an off somewhere. Not too bad. He's just lost a few tenths to Shirakawa ahead as Barato sets the fastest lap of the race so far. And I'm talking about punching above your weight. Barato is car number 17 in the lead right now. So there you are, Sam, talking about car numbers. Yeah,
has he got a lower iRacing than you, Aaron? 3.9. I can't remember what you are.
I need to check that. Give me a sec.
Basically, what I'm saying is that Aaron would be leading this race if he was out there right now.
I do have lower iRacing than him, yes.
Okay, well, you'd be second in that case. But, I mean, even I'm 3.5, and Barato is far better than me, I'm sure, because he's driving absolutely superbly. But that initial gap that he made hasn't quite been established anymore since. Oliver, for like these drivers following, do you think sorts of how much faster do you think you need to be in order to overtake around this circuit? Would you say is the turn air so much that you need to be much quicker to overtake?
It's difficult. I mean, we have talked about the toe before. The toe is is a lot bigger than you think in this car because this huge, massive rear wing opens up a good hole into the air for the car behind. But as we said previously, the straights are fairly short, so you don't have that much time to actually get to the car or to close up to the car in front. I would guess about, it's close to a second, I think. But, so it's fairly much, I mean, especially here, I mean, we've seen the top 17 was within 1 second, so it won't be easy. But that's maybe why we've seen so many mistakes on the first laps. Because these guys know or knew that it will be difficult to overtake. So when's the best time to overtake and try to gain places? At the start. So maybe that was the result of what we've seen in the first few laps.
Well, usually around here we do have chaotic laps, whether on iRacing or in real life. It's always a fairly entertaining first lap, both for racing and maybe a little bit of smashy. As, of course, anyone in this game, you know, they're not in real life, they're going to be okay. But at the moment, Maranello up 9 places after Lopez had his little, you could say, exposition off of the track at turn 4.
I mean, it's not a bad effort, man. It's not. I have respect for you. I'm not laughing. I have respect for you.
I mean, I tried, and some people will respect the hustle that I went through making that 10 out of 10 joke. You know, gotta sprinkle some entertainment in there during the mid part of this race, as not too much is going on right now, but still on the edge of our seats, of course, watching this battle for the lead. And you know, Shirakawa looking good in form in this race so far. I've jinxed him now. Good job, Aaron. But so far this season, he hasn't looked amazing, it has to be said. He's looked quick over a 1 lap, but in the race hasn't had the best pace and often makes mistakes. But you know, we always like to see people doing well in these races, and if Shirakawa can get a 2nd place, then I'd say that's a good result from him. But one man who will not be very happy at the moment is Zamborski. The man was so often used to seeing at the front has not had the best pace here at the moment.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem to be able to overcome the deficit at the moment. It hasn't really got close to Shirakawa to make a move, but maybe he's saving up all those DRS's 8s available for the drivers across the race. So, you know, if you can save them for the last couple of laps when maybe you feel like you might have a tyre advantage, would not rule out Zamborski from winning this race. In the background, Hara versus Toulemont are alongside. They were absolutely identical in the last lap, but a very poor first sector this time out for Toulemont has lost him that position. He made a mistake at turn 1. They weren't particularly close beforehand, and now Hara, the Japanese driver, moves up to 4th place. And this is a terrific performance from the driver who started in 6th and are 2 places from his race start.
Yeah, it seems if you're French today, you're having a very good race. Apart from if your name is Moll or Mordan, then maybe your race isn't going too well. But you know, I'd say the French driver's having a pretty good time right now. Cornu, Maranello, Toulemont, and Barreto all having pretty good races, and of course Barreto putting on a spectacular performance so far, up there in the lead, and looking good at the moment. I've got to say, he's putting in some good laps, not really looking like he doesn't look nervous. He looks in control of this race. Maybe a few tiny mistakes here and there, but I'd say he's got this one in the bag. And Oliver, you of course are you know, you have some experience leading races in this series. You know, what's it take to win races like these?
Not top split though, but yeah, I mean, it's what you need is self-confidence. That's the only thing you need, because if you're in the lead, then as we have some action again. So we're trying to defend against Denny Cornu, and yeah, well, there's nothing you can do really. Maybe trying to counterattack down into turn 3, but he seems to be too far away. So that's one place up for another Frenchman here tonight. So that's quite positive. Well, yeah, back to the topic. The thing is, you need, as I said, you need self-confidence, because once we have some.
I think Reed is having some kind of internet problems somewhere. They both were just blinking a little bit, but yeah, I mean, Oliver, I gotta say yeah, I mean, when it comes to other series, you know, I keep mentioning it because it's the only series I'm good in. The Formula 3s, you know, it does take that. You know, when you're at top split, you gotta have faith in yourself, because if you're driving constantly on the edge, just thinking, oh, I don't know if I can do this, oh, I'm nervous, like you're just not. You might win one race or two, but you just gotta have faith in yourself. As we see Lopez catching back up to Marinel, and can Marinel do much to defend this one? I don't think he can. Neither driver using DRS on this occasion. I think Marinel has had a good race so far, but I don't think he quite has the pace to match the top 6 at the moment. But you know, it's still trudging on nicely, and I think he won't be too disappointed with a 7th place if that's where he stays. Lopez just made that one tiny mistake on the exit of turn 4 and is back up to P6. But gotta say, that gap from P3 again, Zamborski, over the last few laps, especially that last lap, it was a rather poor lap, Sam.
Yeah, and struggling a bit. Yeah, the final sector of his previous lap, he lost like half a second. So that was a mistake for Samborski. Now I think we'll get a good indication the next couple of laps to see what his true pace is, because he's going to be throwing everything at this to get himself back into play. By the way, Dulemon is really struggling out there. He's 1.8 seconds now behind Hara, and he's just struggling through the first sector every single time. He's lost over half a second the last 2 laps. I'm keeping an eye out this time around to see what his first sector's like. Okay, he's back on pace, but he made consecutive mistakes at turn 1, because that's the only corner you have in sector 1. So really struggling with that one is the man in P5, and if those mistakes return, then Lopez will be there to pick up that one, because Lopez himself, I think, has equal, if not even better pace, even when they're not making mistakes, than Tulemon. Not too many overtakes happening elsewhere. Of course, Reed versus Garcia might get close, with Garcia catching up for that 10th place, and still Freckleton holding off Ord and Gallis. Victor's doing well, to be fair, to be quite that far up after his issues earlier on in the race. But yeah, not many overtakes happening. Most of the drivers are sort of back into their rightful positions after a few of the skirmishes we had in the opening stages.
Yeah, got a few comebacks going up and down the field as Shirakawa dips into the 16s for the first time, setting a 16.9 on that last lap, perhaps just bringing up the rear just a little bit more, trying to catch back up to Barreto and possibly challenge for the lead. We've got 13 laps to go in this race, and Barreto still looking fairly strong and fairly consistent out there in first, but Shirakawa, as we know, has got some good speed, but can he keep up this speed is the big question. I think for the first time, can't believe I'm saying this, Zamborski, I don't think he's going to be able to challenge for the win. He just hasn't looked as good out there as he normally does. You know, maybe we're starting to see the king of Formula 3.5s fall off his throne a little bit, but you know, don't shoot the messenger. Just putting it out there. He's not looked amazing these past few races, and you know, of course, still 13 laps to go. Anything can happen, but gotta say, Oliver, I don't have amazing confidence in him.
Yeah, but I think that's the reason. I mean, the reason because of that might be that the car hasn't changed in a lot of in years actually. So I think at least like 7 to 8 seasons, maybe some small tire changes, but other than that, the car hasn't changed a lot in the last few seasons or years. So it's natural that everybody just improved and just caught up to Zamborski, as Shirakawa is really, really close. Baruto right now. I thought he might have an idea, like just trying to attack him there.
No,
But
he's definitely using DRS here on the exit of turn 3. He's going to try and have a go for the lead of this race. He lost the lead about 10 laps ago. He's going to try and re-overtake. He goes deep into turn 4 and actually ends up... Oh, that's going to be so close. Baruto somehow doesn't make contact with him. This is where Baruto overtook him before. This time round, it's Shirakawa overtaking Baruto, and the Japanese driver is back into the lead of this race, and I'd say we have got a spicy 11 laps to go once they cross the line. It's going to be between these two, and maybe if they keep battling, it will allow Zamborski, possibly even Hara, to get back into the fight for the lead, and they might be able to snatch up any opportunities if these guys make mistakes or possibly even make contact with each other, as these cars, I'm sure you're aware, Oliver, are extremely sensitive to contact. You know, the rather bouncy physics of these old Formula cars. And, well, there's one of the mistakes I was talking about. Shirakawa, Tony hawking it on the exit of turn 1 there, as Baruto going to get a good run down all the way to turn 3. Is he going to go for the move here, or is he going to wait? Looks like he was. Oh, there's contact between them two. And this is going to allow Zamborski right back into it. They're both still on the track. But I just think Shirakawa kind of did a Nico Rosberg there and was just a little bit too late on the brakes. But Baruto still going to fight this one. Down into turn 4 we come. And Shirakawa, as we know, is good on the brakes into this corner and stays ahead for now. But yeah, I got to say that a little bit too aggressive from Shirakawa for my liking.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was... He was barely making the corner there, Shirakawa. You always need to leave a car's width, and he was very far away from the apex there. Fortunate for the pair then with the way that the contact happened, it was sort of side pod to wheel, and so at least the speed that they hit each other at didn't seem to cause too much damage for those cars, but that's exactly what Zamborski needed. And this one might start getting personal between these two. It's not nice to be shoved out of the way like he was right there, Baruto. But what I would say, I think Baruto probably has a few more DRSs available. It seemed like Shirakawa was really having to push hard and use a lot of DRSs to get past. So he might be under pressure if Baruto starts using a few of his drag reduction systems later on in the race.
Yeah, once again, we've mentioned this, 1 million times. Oh dear, that's not a good exit for Shirakawa. I was just about to mention that we don't know how many DRS usages all of these drivers have left or have used. And, well, this is these last few laps have absolutely spiced this race up to a T. And Shirakawa, after that mistake, is still leading this race, but Zamborski is right back into this. And, well, he was a good 3 seconds behind these two. And Baruto and Shirakawa still battling it out for the lead in this middle sector. You don't really see cars going for it that often around here, but Baruto once again ends up leading the race through those middle corners, and Shirakawa, this battle is heating up. We've not seen action like this in so long in these 3.5 cars for the lead of the race, but you know what, I'm loving it, all of you are loving it, and well, we've got another, I'd say 8 or 9 laps left of this.
Yeah, brilliant move there from Baruto to pull it off through those section of corners is ever so difficult, and good respectful racing as well that time round, at least from the pair of them. And Zamborski almost made it 3 wide going into Schlossgold as well. And might be Zamborski with a few DRSs as well available, but well, overtaking does seem to be a bit more possible than maybe we initially thought, so this one could change around a few more times. By the way, quick shout out to Apex Racing Academy. If you want to get faster on iRacing, do check out their setups and data packs, as we're going to see another move into Schlossgold. But Baruto's so comfortable on the outside of that corner that he's just able to maintain that position. But every single lap right now, we are seeing a challenge for the lead.
Yeah, and you absolutely love to see racing like this, and I hope they can keep this up and not run into each other. That would be bad for all parties involved. There's a few battles going on up and down the grid. Yeah, Cornu's had some kind of mistake in turn 4, I believe that is. There's been some kind of coming together there. Not sure who with. He might have been battling with Reed still, I believe, but he's fallen down now and is battling with Brooker here. And yeah, a few drivers making a few mistakes in these final few laps as everyone's trying to gain a few places, as towards that middle part of the race, everyone settles down and just gets a bit calmer, and then these final few laps, everyone just ramps it up and just thinks, right, mate, you're having it, and just absolutely sends it on each other. But I've got to say, it's entertaining as hell.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was sort of waiting for Shirakawa there to send it into Remus, but he sort of hesitated a bit. I wonder if he's feeling a bit guilty after earlier on. I think that could well be a factor. He doesn't want to have the same contact they had earlier on, which I think he will realise was his fault. It was fairly clear to see. He does not want to repeat of that. By the way, I was mentioning Apex Racing Academy. Make sure to check them out at apexracingac.com. Data packs. And those data packs including setups, track guides, and group coaching sessions as well. So if you want to get faster in single seaters, prototypes, GTs, touring cars, NASCARs, rallycross cars, so much stuff on iRacing, do visit apexracingac.com. That's a brilliant second half to that lap for Baruto to be able to pull out by 9/10 of a second. But it does seem like it's sort of in this first half of the lap where Shirakawa is able to get himself back into play, but he's certainly not going to be in play this time into Schlossgau. He's going to have to work out this one for a couple more laps to get back in contention.
Yeah, I think just on that last lap, I think Baruto kind of knew he had to step up his game a little bit and try and break away from the two drivers in his mirror. But once again, I don't think Zamborski has the pace to keep up with these two, but he definitely has the opportunity to just wait and just sit back, be a little bit patient. And, you know, these two in front of him already made contact once. It's not a guarantee that they won't do it again. So he might be waiting for another opportunity like that to swoop in and take the lead because, like I said, I think at the start of this race, that track position around here is so important. And you can defend quite easily if you're the car in front. I mean, you know, maybe if you're doing Formula 1 races, it's a bit different with DRS, but around here, where the DRS isn't as powerful compared to the slipstream, I think track position is the way to go. And, well, as we cross the line, we're now on lap 23 out of 28. We've got 6 laps to go in this race. And, well, I'm still not 100% sure who's going to win this race. You know, I thought Baruto had this one in the bag, and then all of a sudden, everything changed within the space of about 2 laps. So yeah, I'm just gonna stop making predictions just in case I jinx someone, as it definitely hasn't happened in the past. I don't know what you're talking about, but Oliver, you know, what kind of situation is best here? Do you want to be Baruto with track position? Do you want to be Shirakawa, who possibly has a bit more pace on hand and possibly has a few more DRSs? Or would you want to be Zamborski and wait for an opportunity to pounce?
Well, I think in this situation right now, would really like to be Baruto, because as powerful as DRS and slipstreaming are, the problem here is you have this very, very smooth and fast second and third sector, and what these guys are actually dealing with right now is dirty air. We weren't able to see that previously with Shirakawa on board, because he was right tucked behind Benjamin. At that point, the dirty air is not that effective. It's not that much of a problem, so he can follow a car in front quite easily. But now Shirakawa and as well Zamborski, compared to Shirakawa, they are all in this small gap right now at about 6 to 8 tenths of a second, where you lose a lot of downforce, and you need that, especially in sector 2 and 3, because these are like 4th and 5th gear corners. So it's very, very difficult to actually catch the guy in front. So yeah, definitely want to be in the lead right now.
Yeah, I gotta say, I definitely agree with you. I think that track position is just so key. As Dennis Cornu sets the fastest lap of the race with a 129. 129, Leo, that would not be a good lap, a 116.9. Yeah, surprisingly, he's on some decent pace right now in 11th place. But the guys up the front at the moment on purple sectors, I believe Zamborski is starting to use a few DRS usages on this lap anyway, as that gap to the lead from Shirakawa starting to come down a little bit, and as soon as I say that, Shirakawa didn't have the best final few corners I've ever seen. Lost about 0.3 of a second there. As Oliver mentioned, the dirty air really is a strong factor with these cars around the circuit, as Shirakawa does set the new fastest lap of the race, as he's looking pretty feisty. But with only 4 laps to go, Sam, do you think he's still got a chance to win this?
I think Zaborski's going to need a favour. I'm fairly certain. I think Shirakawa might have one last go at this one. He's that gap. We sort of had that one lap. I think it was maybe lap 21 where Barato was able to pull away by about 4/10. But ever since then, Shirakawa has been chipping away slightly, and this is pretty much as close as he's got. Within 0.6 of a second now, going into Schlossgold. And if he can be within 0.6 going out the final corner, he's going to have a fantastic chance when they get up into Remus turn 3 of the circuit. Of course, if you want to follow the live time, do check out the link in the description below. That will send you to SDK Gaming's live timing page. And if you open that on a web page, it can be very useful to see what the gaps and the lap times are of all the drivers. So do recommend that, and of course do recommend using SDK Gaming for your overlays as well. This 3.5 overlay is absolutely superb as a mistake for the race leader, and this could be the change of the lead. Barato wide, and here comes Shirakawa down the inside into turn 1. His line might be compromised. He's able to take a normal line eventually though into turn 1, but even that wasn't absolutely perfect. Well, actually no, was able to pull a few car lengths clear, and it's the Japanese with 3 to go leading the way as the top 3 are now separated by less than 0.8 of a second.
Well, that's what I was talking about just a few laps ago. One mistake could shake up the fate of this race. Who's it going to be? Shirakawa, Barato, or Zaborski? Let us know who you think is going to come out victorious in these final few laps. Kind of a shame we're not paying attention to the middle part of the field as well, as they're having some good battles as well, as Phil Reed actually has damage. But of course, the battle for the lead, always is going to be the big one that everyone wants to watch. But yeah, these midfield battles getting pretty spicy as Reed and Garcia go side by side for 9th place at the moment. Reed doing a pretty good job with that front wing damage. I don't think it's too bad, but it is affecting him slightly in the straights and in the corners as we come into turn 4. They're going side by side still, as Garcia on the outside. That seems to be the pretty good line if you can hold it around this track, as it gives you the inside for this next corner. But nevertheless, Reed is going to try and hold it around the outside. And reminiscent of what Barato did to Shirakawa at the start of this race, he did to Garcia now. And that was a pretty good overtake for 9th place. Let's see if he can hold it until the end of the race. We've got 2 laps to go here. Who's it going to be? Shirakawa, Barato, or Zaborski? You just don't know. But stay tuned to find out. And Shirakawa goes into turn 3 at the moment with track position, but didn't get the best of exits, which is going to allow Barato to be right on the back of that Formula 3.5 car. He's going to be looking at that diffuser and wanting it to be in his rearview mirror. We come down to turn 4 now. Who's going to be the last on the brakes? I think Shirakawa was a little bit better, but Barato's going to be on the outside. I think there was a tiny bit of contact there. Barato still going to try and hold this one. Is he going to let off? I think he does, as Shirakawa goes around the outside, and he holds on for now. And look at Zaborski there. You can just tell that he is waiting to pounce at any moment he can, and I still don't know who's going to be able to win this race. I think Alarcon has made some kind of mistake somewhere. He's lost about a few seconds in that middle part of the race, but Reed and Garcia are still going at it for 9th place. But as we come across the line now for the final lap, it's white flag. This is the moment that it's all been leading up to. Is Zaborski going to be able to take the win once again and take it away from these two? Or are these two going to be able to keep it clean and battle it out to the very end? Does anyone have any DRS usages? I think Shirakawa is opening, or actually closing that rear wing, excuse me, as we come now down into turn 3. Shirakawa gets nice on the brakes, and Barato can't quite match him. I think that gap is opening up just a little bit too much, and Barato using a DRS usage, and so is Zaborski. But I don't think it's going to be enough unless Shirakawa makes some kind of mistake. Oh, that's very late on the brakes from Zaborski. But I think that's going to be it, and they're going to finish as you are. There's not really any overtaking opportunity in this final part of the lap, unless anyone makes any kind of mistake. But It's been absolutely fantastic to watch these three go at it. This entire race, these entire 28 laps, it's been back and forth constantly. Barito, Shirakawa. You just never knew who was going to come out on top. But in the end, after 28 laps, the pole man, Shirakawa, the Japanese driver, comes down the final corner to take victory here in the Red Bull Ring. 0.2 of a second ahead of Barito. And eventually Zamborski snatches fastest lap in the end, but I think he would rather hope that he would be 2 places higher than he actually finished. But we're not done with this battle between Reed and Cornu. Behind, Reed's lost a few places. He's lost it to Garcia. Is Cornu going to be able to snatch it out of his hands in these final few corners? I'm not sure he's going to be able to, as Reed gets a pretty good exit round that final corner and just about holds on to that 10th place. And deep breath.
Yeah, fantastic defense there from Shirakawa in the closing stages. Prato, maybe a small mistake, maybe through turn 1 or the final corner on the previous lap, which just left him with a bit too much to do. But Shirakawa did have enough DRSs to defend in those closing stages. I thought he may have used them all in the middle part of the race in order to take the lead for the first time. But actually, he managed it perfectly. And Zamborski, with the first lap, was always going to struggle with the slipstream that the 2 ahead of him constantly had on one another, and still only about a second and a half off the race win as he returns to the pits. And well, hopefully in a few moments time we'll be able to chat with 1 or 2 of the drivers.
Yeah, it's always good to have a chat with these drivers after the race, listen in on their thoughts, you know, gather whatever it is they are thinking. But wow, after 28 laps of intense racing action, in the end it was Yuki Shirakawa on the top step of the podium. I haven't said that one in a while, but it's good to see him back there on top once again. And Barito can be pleased with second place. He did a fantastic job all race round. And Zamborski rounding off your top 3. Yukimi Hara also having a fairly quiet race in 4th place. Toulemond in 5th. Jorge Lopez in 6th. Marinel in 7th. Alarcon in 8th place. Garcia with a good comeback in the end to finish 9th. Phil Reed holding off in 10th with that damage. Very impressive race from him. And then the rest of your grid: Denny Cornu, Luke Brugger, Pilar Tavares, Victor Oud, Daniel Gallis, and Akin in 16th, Farquharton 17th, Mordan 18th, Virzimski in 19th, Mosisco in 20th, and Duresho, your last place man, in 21st place. And well, we have a few drivers here who would like to have a chat. And you know what, Sam? I'm going to let you have the honours first.
Oh, you're so kind. I will drag up. Thing is, no, you know what? I never. Sorry, I'm wasting time. Sorry about this, guys. I've got to drag up Yuki Shirakawa. I think Phil Reed had a fantastic race because he was defending like a man possessed up there. But our race winner joins us now. Yuki, congratulations. That must be a very satisfying race victory because Benjamin and Edward pushed you all the way.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back here after a long time. I was without result with a lot of tough luck. I end up doing something like Roosevelt. Nevertheless, I am happy that I was able to win.
Yeah, congratulations. It was a really good drive from yourself. What was the biggest challenge out there when racing with Benjamin?
Thank you.
Did you catch that question, Yuki?
Sorry, I don't speak much English.
That is fine. We will, yeah, is there anyone you'd like to thank, Yuki? Anyone you'd like to give any thank yous to?
Japanese okay?
Yeah, sure.
皆さんありがとうございました Okay.
Excellent stuff. Well, thanks for joining us, Yuki, and we will see you very soon.
Congrats, man. Well done.
Thank you.
that was Yuki Shirakawa there, your race winner tonight. Aaron, I think, well, we've got even more drivers now joining us. Who are you going to chat with next?
Oh, Yuki's always such a nice lad to talk to, and obviously congratulations to him. But you know what? I'm going to talk to Phil Reed, the man that you wanted to have a chat to. Phil, I got to ask, top 10 finish with some front wing damage. On a scale of 1 to 10, how difficult was that?
Oh, I didn't realize I had front wing damage.
Oh, did you not?
Where did I pick that up then? Oh, well, we'll fix it. No, it's, I guess based on that, it's okay.
Yeah, we were just wondering, like, how were you keeping those places? You had like marginal damage on your front right end plate on your front wing, and I'm guessing you must have picked it up somewhere, maybe on lap 1. But yeah, just how difficult was that race for you?
I mean, it was a difficult race. I mean, I've been struggling with this combo, to be honest, the whole week. Just on a general lack of pace. I think I've always just struggled at this track anyway. There's something about it that doesn't quite click with me. It really requires you to like fully use all of the track, and that's just something that I sometimes struggle with, especially when you've got like dodgy curbs here and there. But yeah, I mean, the actual racing, I think, the people around me, I had good pace, comparative pace to them. I didn't feel like I was getting dropped by anyone that was sort of within my sort of range. The top 7 had gone by that point, but then there was like, me and Marcos and Fran and Denny all having a good little sort of pace battle, and then obviously, really good actual fight with a couple of them. Really, really great fun last couple of laps with Fran. So yeah, it was sort of, it was difficult, but it was good fun.
Well, it definitely looked like a ton of fun out there. As it was kind of difficult as we were watching the battle for the lead and kind of flicking occasionally to you and Garcia. It really did look like a fantastic battle between you two, and top 10 finish is not too shabby. But if this is a weak track for you going into next week, do you think you might have better luck?
Well, that depends. I don't know where next week is, so maybe.
That's good.
It's always good not knowing where your next race is. I will bring that up for you in 3, 2, 1. We're going to Silverstone. There you go.
Ooh, maybe. We'll see. I'm usually okay at Silverstone. Like, I feel like I'm definitely stronger at Silverstone than I am here. But I do think that other people are also stronger at Silverstone than they are here. So it might balance out negatively, but we'll see.
Yeah, this track didn't seem to gel well with too many people. I think Zamborski even was struggling a little bit. But it's been a good chat, Phil, with you. And before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to, have a thank?
I mean, as I do every time, I don't come in here often, but I'll just give the same shout out to like Ed and the people running the day-to-day kind of stuff, getting the seasons and everything set up, and obviously getting this broadcast set up, and thanks to you guys for putting on a good show.
It's been a pleasure, Phil, and good luck for next week.
Thank you very much.
Well, I think we've got one more time to have a chat, and Oliver, would you like to take the honours of talking to the main man himself?
Yeah, sure. Here we are with our common interview guests, Eddie Zamborski. Well, Ed, you had a really, really entertaining race. So, not as a driver, but more as a spectator, it looked like. How difficult, how easy was it to actually try and keep up with them? Because we've seen at one point you've lost a little bit of time, and you were actually in danger of falling out of the slipstream.
Oh, I definitely lost the slipstream. I had nothing. I went with the longer gear because of the wind. That probably was not the correct thing to do. But just in general, I didn't have enough pace. I spent 11 hours again trying to come up with a Red Bull setup, and I just don't have it. The lap was good in qualifying and the race. I mean, that's all I have. But there's something better out there. You guys they just walked away from me. It was kind of boring and annoying, to be honest with you. That's about it. I went wrong right from the start. I mean, right from the start, I had wheel spin, and I took it easy too, trying to be, because I'm like, you just in case, and got passed immediately, and that was it.
How difficult is it, like, just for the spectators, just to visualize, how difficult is it to be on the limit, but also just trying to be sneaky, just to watch the guys in front in case there is a mistake? What's your mindset in these kind of situations?
This is very particular to Red Bull, but the final corner, don't get a slowdown. I got one. That was, that's a second donated for no good reason, so you don't want to do that. And then as far as what I was trying to do, I was trying to use different lines so I could see my marks, but this track is one line. There is one line that works. If you're not in it, you're going to go slower. So I just put it in follow mode, and you have less downforce because you're following the car. So you're pretty much helpless. You just watch the car drive away from you on exit. Because if you drive it in too deep, you're going to lose more time. So you have to back up not your apex, but your entry speed, and really try to get a good exit to make sure you can stay with the car in front. But if you have any little error, it's just 2/10, 3/10. I mean, you saw, I had one little wiggle, and I got on the gas, I don't know, a little bit too much. I wasn't a lot of it because I didn't spin, and that's it. They go away from you. So, I mean, honestly, it was kind of not ideal is what I would say.
We've seen Yuki now finally in the top split, having the result that, well, he deserved, to be really honest. What was your opinion about that? Was it just like, okay, I need to stay in contention, or was it also like, okay, is Yuki still gonna do something, if you know what I mean? I'm not gonna jinx anybody here. But,
Sorry.
yeah, I was just trying to ask you for your opinion on that one.
It's always in the back of your mind, if the driver in front starts having little errors, how you're going to escape that. I was not particularly concerned because Yuki put in a great lap, and this track doesn't really have too many areas that can cause you to wreck. Well, I should talk about that. I wrecked in turn 2 on a race earlier this week, so don't do that. Don't touch the curb. But I thought he had it, and I wanted to get second because I thought for sure that would be better points than third, but I screwed the startup, I guess. I don't know what I did. I just had wheel spin. My opinion was Yuki is driving the way Yuki should. Next week is another track Yuki's strong at, and I expect him to be at the front. It's surprising to me when he's not at the front because I know Yuki is very quick, but it just doesn't seem to happen in the SOF races. He's beat me plenty of times, heads up, Dakota, Hockenheim, Hungaroring, a few other times, and then we get to the SOF race and he's nowhere. He's running 10th. So to me, it's surprising he doesn't do it more often. I guess that's the best way to sum it up.
Yeah, well, to be really honest, let's hope Yuki can be a little bit more consistent and battle with you guys, because that was a lot of fun for the evening. Thank you, Ed.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you guys for watching and hanging out.
Thank you, man.
Oh, interesting chats with a few of our drivers there, but I think that's about going to wrap it up here, folks. It's been, as always, an absolute pleasure to commentate over this series for you, bringing you fantastic action every single day at the same time on Saturday. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. And I've been Aaron Smith, joined by Sam Fitzpatrick, Oliver Croker, and Smooly Kumo. All here from Apex TV. We all hope you have a good rest of your day, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.